Good afternoon, Shreya,
Good afternoon.
and welcome back from Bhopal with flying colors.
Thank you, sir.
Right, we are very proud of you,
Thank
and
you.
it is so good to see you back here with cheerful and shining and bright. So you cleared it in the second attempt,
Yes.
right? And so you've forgotten about the last one now.
Yes.
That thing is gone
Yes.
now, right? So we are actually very, very, very proud of you, and I'm sure your parents and your friends and everybody must be totally excited.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
So I thought, we'll share your experience that you've had in Bhopal and also related to what happened earlier.
Yes.
Right? You had gone for the previous SSB in April,
Yes.
and this is just about 3-4 months down the line.
Yes.
So from April to now, what has suddenly changed in you that from not recommended you come to recommended? What do you feel about that?
So I think it's all about your preparation, how and attitude towards SSB. In my first attempt, when I went to Allahabad, my all preparation was based on different YouTube videos which keep
Yes.
on popping on your screen, and 10 different videos, 10 different viewpoints, and then there's just a
Total confusion.
confusion that's happening.
Right.
This time I came for Cavaliers because I wanted just a single approach to SSB, not like 10 different approaches. And it was my last attempt. I didn't want it to take any chance. So I just, this time, when I went to the, I attended the 14 days program, it was just about being more positive, being more lively here, because what you present yourself here, you are also at the
Present
SSB.
yourself there. But
Yes.
what brought you to Cavalier? I mean, there are so many institutes. How
Yes.
did you land up here?
So I had heard about Cavaliers from one of my friends. She had also attended, and looking at her experience and the way she performed at Allahabad, I think that was totally.
And also that it is more than 21 years old academy, so
Yes,
that
sir,
experience is there.
absolutely. Sir, yes.
So that is how you came in here.
Yes.
So your friend told you some kind of a framework
Yes.
that I had gone to Cavalier and I learned this and I learned that and all that.
Yes.
Was it just that, or was it beyond that, or it was much less than that?
So much beyond that.
Much beyond that.
Yes, sir, definitely.
She couldn't really describe all of it to
Yes,
you.
sir. I had just heard, she said that I went to Cavaliers, she attended it, it was such a fun experience.
Yes.
But when I myself attended it, it was completely transformative for me. Not only just for SSB point of view, but looking at life, being more patient with myself and with my family members. So it was a
So
complete
that means this
change.
14 days you found yourself
It sounds
in a manner changing your outlook to life.
Yeah, it sounds very like
Unreal.
cliche and very.
Yes, very cliched and very
Exactly.
unreal, but it did happen.
It
to
did
you.
happen for me.
Yeah, right.
When you were so much learning, and I came with a learning attitude, so it happens in.
And in any case, you're at a very age where your personality is
Yes.
growing, and with your exposure, whatever exposure you had here earlier to this now, and you had so many friends with you while you were here,
Yes, sir.
and you were, like we keep telling you, come early, go late,
Yes, sir.
and the experience that you had with your own peers while you were here, that itself is transforming. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
It gives you a broader perspective.
Yes.
Somebody's from that city, somebody's from this city, somebody's from a different background.
Yes.
And you get a similar kind of feel when you go to actual SSB also,
Yes.
right?
Definitely.
That different kind of people, and you learn to adjust with them. You learn to, so that is what you probably felt,
Absolutely.
right? So let's go with the screening test to begin with,
Yes. Sir.
right? So you have this screening test. One is of course reasoning.
Yes.
So how many practices of reasoning did you have in Cavalier? Almost
first-
on a daily basis,
Absolutely. You come early, you get a set, you practice that.
and then you had the classes also.
Classes every week, and and also you get a booklet. I attempted all questions from that booklet before going
Okay,
to
okay.
SSB.
So, and you were very, very happy
Yes.
with yourself when you landed
Yes.
up, right? And this probably didn't happen in the first SSB.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
Somewhere you were
Yes.
little low on that,
Yes.
right? So screening test, mein jaise when you were sitting there and when you were now facing the PPDT from the earlier experience, how did you feel? What difference did you feel in yourself?
Just being myself, not looking at any other's performance, giving my 100%, be your biggest competitor yourself. That's
And
just
did
the
you
idea.
really have to write some kind of a bombastic
No,
story
sir,
or out of the world, superhuman?
My story was just based on a real life incident that happened with me. It was a pretty plain story, but much more structured and confident narration. That's the key to crack the screen.
How many practices did you have at the Cavalier on PPT?
Sir, approximately 3 to 4 practices.
And overall, starting with the first one, it touches about 6-7 practices that you had
For PPT.
for PPT, including the story writing and
Yes,
everything,
sir.
right? So that made a lot of difference.
Yes.
Right. So with that, now having gone through, then you came to the psychology part of it,
Yes.
right? Were you reliving your experience of Cavalier at the SSB also?
Absolutely, sir. Last night, the one person was in my mind was Sir Dua, sir. Whatever he taught, being M1, M2, just being positive, going through the stories that he corrected for me,
Okay.
and learning from that what is the board expecting from me, what kind of a structure is expected, which
So
shows
did he
that
tell you to cram up 15-20 stories?
not absolutely.
No.
No, sir. Not
So he told you to write your own stories.
absolutely based on ourselves, more positive, connected stories.
And he corrected you also?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, when you're doing the PPDT,
Yes.
on your stories, some corrections were made there and then.
Yes, sir.
You were guided,
Yes.
and not only you, everybody else also.
Yes, sir.
So that also became a very big learning part.
Absolutely.
So you suddenly found that TAT has almost become a very
Yes.
casual thing,
Yes.
and you were very happy with what you did.
Yes, sir.
What about your WAT? I mean, from what you did last time to this time, and how did Dua sir help you with
Yes.
what happened in the WAT?
The study material that was given to us, approximately 20 to 30% of words were repeated
Repeated
in my
in,
set.
in one set only.
And I had practiced all before going to
Right.
SSB.
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty easy for me.
And were too many don'ts and do's bothering you? ये करो,
Not
वो
at
नहीं
all.
करो.
If you think कि ये करो ना करो, 15 seconds will wash
वैसे ही
away.
चले जाते
Wash
हैं,
away.
right?
Wash away.
So then, like Dua sir told you, be natural.
sir.
Just let the reaction come by yourself.
Absolutely.
And you did almost about 2-3 practices of the
Yes, sir, we
WT
did.
on the screen
Yes.
and all that. So that helped you.
Yes.
And what about your SRT? I mean, like there you have the total choice of go with what speed you want. And how many SRTs were you able to do roughly?
I did 42 SRTs.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Yes.
Sir. Dua sir just told us that do approximately 40 to 50 is a very good attempt. If you're doing it with full concentration, with full detail, if you're putting a lot of mind in it, just ensure you do not leave that SRT open.
Hmm.
Give a good
End to it. And also not skip any SRTs
exactly.
in between,
It shows
right?
that you've washed.
Yeah, just trying to avoid
Yes, sir.
it. So that should not come that you're trying to avoid it.
Yes.
Right. So this experience that you had here and the SRTs which came there, they were almost pretty similar and what you had experienced here.
Yes, sir. And SRT, if you have that psychological preparation, which I did here, I think SRTs are not very frightening. They are very much hyped up. Ki SRTs have to be made so
वो
much
YouTube वाले करते हैं ना?
perfect. Wow. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
तो YouTube वाले they keep
Exactly.
hyping up पता नहीं SRT और ये पता नहीं.
You do not have to act hero in that.
Yes, be
Just
normal
react
self.
what you will do in real life.
So you found that. So that means you're very confident with yourself. You're a very nice girl and you were just being there and they liked you for what you are.
Yes.
Huh? That's lovely. Right. So thereafter you went and then you get into the GTO series.
Yes.
So you had the GD.
Yes.
Like here also in Cavalier, I think you did 4 to 5 to 6
Yes,
practices
sir.
of GD.
6 GDs.
6 GDs
Yes.
you practiced with everybody.
Yes.
And were you corrected here when things were going wrong or to
Absolutely.
you and the other
Yes.
people? Right. So now when you got into the GD there and when you were sitting, were you praying like hell कि मुझे आज भगवान बचा ले or you said कि जो भी है मैं डील कर लूँगी?
दो topics मिलते हैं for first GD. I was like, let others decide. I am ready for both.
I'm ready for both. And you had some kind of a methodology.
Yes.
Okay, look, this is the way I'm going to deal with my GD.
Speak meaningful. Speak something that you're adding quality to the group discussion.
Yes.
Just don't speak.
हाँ.
बोलने
Just not
के
for the
लिए-
sake of speaking.
Exactly.
शुरू किया और आखिर तक बोलते रहे.
Yes.
ऐसे मिलते भी होंगे candidates.
बहुत मिलते हैं.
बहुत मिलते हैं. We'll keep saying something or the
Yes.
other.
They-
So do you have to just give your point of view or you should be accepting others' point of view as well?
Absolutely accept if they are stating, because it will show that you are also interested in others' point and not just bragging
So
about
you could
your-
do that. You could
Yes.
do that. And you were pretty comfortable.
Yes.
कौन सी GD मिली थी? You had 2 GDs. Which are the
Yes.
ones? I mean, broadly speaking, क्या थी?
First was related to geopolitics, who is the main player, and second was a more generic one about women empowerment.
That both were expected.
Yeah, both expected.
Both were pretty expected,
Yes.
and you had practiced them here.
Yes.
And GPE, like now you group planning exercise, again YouTube में पता नहीं क्या क्या बोलते हैं,
Yes, sir.
military planning and so on and so forth.
Yes, sir.
So when you were actually doing the GPE there, and before that you had how many, 5 to 6 practices here of GPE?
So we did two practices.
And
Apart from that, like sir discussed
Discuss
the real
another-
practices were 2, but apart from that we had
discussion on 2,
discussions
3
around
more. So
much.
and when you went and saw there,
Yes, sir.
and the GP that you got was quite on similar lines.
Yeah, sir. The strategy is similar.
Strategy is just so
applied.
similar. So now, what was the factor you found that there you could score over others in the GP? Where were you scoring over others?
So taking the group forward and not just sticking to one problem. Coming to solutions.
Coming to solutions. So that is what you were.
And having time always in your mind. That what time will
Time
you take.
frame.
Yes, sir.
You
From-
think other people were easily able to work out the time frame as you were able to do?
No, sir, because the time that you get for 10 minutes, you do not have to just focus on problems, but solutions with time.
Huh.
I had written all the time on my answer sheet as well.
So you could easily work out the
Yes, sir.
timings. You were not too confused.
Yes, sir. And sir had suggested that take 7 minutes for writing and 3 minutes for thinking that what will you contribute in group and just being clear with your own plan.
Own plan.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Right. So then, and it didn't appear scary or right.
No, sir.
Right from the first time that you went and did GP, the first time when you were not recommended, the second time,
Yes.
what difference did you find in your approach?
So this time I was like very much clear ki what is my plan and how can we have a common plan, just not sticking to my plan, because the outcome one has to narrate at the end. If you're not ready with it, will give a very bad impression of your group. So you have to be that mediator between two people, because there will be people in the group
Yeah,
who
will say something or
will
other.
be pitching on their stories.
Okay.
Ki meri
Right.
le lo, meri le lo. So you have to be that.
So does it have to be your plan only, or it has to be a mixed plan from everybody?
Everyone, because it's a group, you have to work like a
So it was not कि मेरी plan सुनो मेरी
No,
करो.
sir.
So you were not trying to
No,
push that through.
no,
You're accommodative,
Yes, sir.
and that is what you practiced here also in the
Yes,
Cavalier,
sir.
right? So from there on, you went to the outdoors, and
Yes.
you had also the lecture in between. What lecture did you have?
So one nation, one tax. I had the topic.
And you were very
Yes.
happy, as I'm told.
Very happy.
Yes, and you were confident. मतलब कोई shakiness नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं आया.
30 seconds I was like, बुला लो अभी.
And as you were telling me, you were the first speaker.
Yes,
So the
sir.
first speaker is generally under more tension.
Yes.
So you weren't under any
Not
tension
under-
at all. And you thought कि बस ये तो मैं कर ही लूँगी.
हाँ.
हाँ? कि मौका तो दो मेरे को.
Yes.
Huh? So that is the kind of feeling that
Yes,
you're on
sir.
cloud 9 type of things.
Yes.
Right. So, and what experience did you have with other candidates, like other 9 girls? Were they up to it in the lecturate, or a lot of them were, not meeting the ground and not really being able to do things? Was that the case?
Everyone had delivered for 3 minutes, but the point is how much your
Value. Huh?
value of the content and the way you're structuring that.
Okay.
It's not that you're speaking first positive point at the starting and then again after 2 minutes you're coming repetition of points.
इसमें अच्छे point भी हैं, बुरे point भी हैं. That's cliched way of doing
Yes.
it. So that the structuring, you were able to do the structure
yeah.
properly because you had practiced structuring
Yes.
here. So structuring is important.
It is very important.
Do you really need to give all the facts and figures?
No, sir. Because you can't remember in that preparation.
Yeah. So is it really required? Facts and figures?
No,
No.
sir.
So your argument is more important than the
Exactly.
facts and
Yes.
figures. Which the arguments you were able to put in a proper manner.
So I had one nation, one tax. So I for 1.5 minutes I spoke whatever I knew about that. After that, I started with a more critical analysis of what are the positives of it and what are the debates that are currently going on around
About
GST.
right. Okay.
Like the recent.
So that is what.
Yes.
And as compared to what you did earlier, you found a sea change in your delivery of the lecture.
Yes, sir. And the top selection of the topic earlier.
Also, yes, it was an important aspect to select the right topic. Right. So now, then after you had this outdoor activity starting from
Yes.
PGT to whatever you did, were you at loss? कि पता नहीं सामने क्या आ गया, or you knew how to really do it
I was like the first person to step everywhere.
everywhere?
Yeah, and if you do not have idea, at least try helping and executing that idea.
Right. If
That's
you
very-
don't have an answer, become part of the answer.
Yeah, part of the answer.
Become
yes.
part of the answer.
Yes.
So that is what you learned here.
Yes.
Then be there.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So did you have a systematic approach in dealing with all the outdoor activities, or कि भाई भगवान भरोसे कहीं फट्टा डाल दो कहीं बल्ली कहीं तो लगेगा?
He didn't try hidden trials are not going to work. Neither you have time for hidden trials.
Right.
Other person will speak
In
the
the
solution
meantime,
and
right,
you will
yeah.
move forward. So yeah, we need to have just एक ही rule है for like PGT, which was I was told over here, and that worked everywhere.
That worked
Every structure.
चाहे वो FGT हो चाहे कुछ
Yes,
हो,
sir.
everywhere it
Command,
worked.
task, and everything.
And everywhere, I mean that so the moment you saw the structures in front of you,
Yes, sir.
they were almost yelling at you कि ये answer है.
Yes, sir. I was the most excited person of my group, and when you're excited, every plan starts working, and
Yes.
you feel more confident.
And then when you look at the structure almost talks back at you. That is what
It
we
does,
told
it
you.
does.
Look at the structure.
Yes.
It'll tell you what it means.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't even look at the structure properly.
Yes, sir.
So the structure has all the answers.
Yes, sir.
As you
It does.
practiced here. So did you get the same kind of structures here, or they were very different?
Not very different, but
They were different.
they were
But
different.
despite their being different, you knew how to handle it.
Yes, sir.
So that means the principle of learning is more important than rather than mugging up के structure होगा तो ये लगाएंगे, ये वाला होगा
Yes.
तो ये लगाएंगे.
Yes.
And you had almost about 4 practices here,
Yeah.
including your command
complete-
task. You had
yes.
4 practices. So with those 4 practices, by and by you found that. And now again we go back relation to the first time that you went to SSB and how did you tackle all these PGT, FGT and command tasks, and now what did you do now? What was the difference you found in yourself?
In first time, I watched all YouTube videos, whatever were available for obstacle. You do not get an idea कि कैसे लगेगा. But this time, one strategy and it worked everywhere.
It worked
You
everywhere.
need not.
And एक बारी PGT ठीक हो गया तो बाकी में
Yeah,
तो
you get confidence.
you did confident, you know कि अब तो मैं कर ही दूंगी.
Yes.
So the other girls started listening to you more than
Yeah, absolutely.
they had faith in you.
Yeah, and when you have faith, it helps in command tasks as well.
Yes.
Calling subordinates.
Calling the subordinate, and so you developed a lot. They also developed a lot of faith in you.
Yes.
That she's the one who knows. She's
Yes.
the one who can do things.
Yes.
So that probably mattered.
It matters.
And then you had this interview. Now you were interviewed by 2 officers here.
Yes.
One is Lieutenant General Sehgal and the other one is Brigadier Kapil Verma.
Yes.
Right? So from the first interview that you took here, right? Before this, was there any preparation made or you were just shoved into the interview room?
No, sir. I was prepared well.
No, I mean, did the institute also prepare you? Like you had OLQ and
Yes,
lectures
sir,
and all?
absolutely. There was a complete 2 sessions were taken. First was absolutely OLQ based, and other was about techniques for interview.
Techniques and how to go about your PAQ
Yes, sir.
form. So you had that background and you had prepared before you even went for the interview here,
Yes, sir.
right? So the first interview General Sehgal took with you,
Yes.
right? So how did you feel when you were, in the interview room and sitting here? Well, you're not in the SSB, but it's an actually practical interview which is going on. So
Yes, sir.
what was happening to you when you were sitting here?
I was like, the thing that was there in my mind कि यही real interview. I have to act as if this is the real interview because
Yes.
Lieutenant General Sir is sitting, and whatever he will advise you is the last note
Yes.
of your interview. So I took his feedbacks very seriously, and it helped. I was able to recall Sir in my real interview that what he
There was a
suggested.
flashback all the time
Absolutely,
working.
sir.
And that confidence kept
Yes,
coming.
sir. And this interview I gave with Sir very confidently, and I was prepared. I kept those techniques in mind, and the feedback was very crucial for me.
And Brigadier Kapil Verma also had the
Yes,
second
sir.
interview with you.
Yes, sir.
Even here, from the first interview to the second interview, did you see a transition in yourself?
Absolutely, sir. Feedbacks, when you get feedbacks from such people, you automatically feel confident, as well as you feel like you need to work on it, otherwise nothing is going to
And
happen.
Brigadier Kapil Verma तो बहुत friendly से,
Very
है?
friendly, sir.
उन्होंने तो बिल्कुल
We were like chatting with each other.
and he must have almost made you feel like you're his daughter or
Yes,
something.
Yes.
Yes, right. So that friendly kind of an attitude picked
Yes,
you up.
sir.
And then when you were sitting there, you almost had a recall as to what it
Yes,
was.
sir.
So did you at any stage feel cornered in the actual SSB interview?
There are points, but you need to come back also.
Yes.
I can't say that there are not points
Yes, there are,
which
yes.
corner you, but there are. But that's the way where you.
And that is where you came out of
Yes,
it, and
sir.
you came out, I mean, in a very smooth
Yes.
manner, and you weren't too hassled.
Yes.
But you think any candidate can answer every question that is
Not
asked?
at all. Not at all.
So should it really worry you?
Not at all.
I mean, as long as you're answering
just
most of the things.
be true with yourself as well as with the interviewer.
Yes.
Just say you do not know. Just don't beat behind the bush.
You're not expected to be Wikipedia.
Absolutely.
कि Wikipedia नाक दबाओ आंसर आ जाएगा.
Absolutely.
ऐसा नहीं है.
Like you said.
Right? So it was told to you here, okay,
Yes, sir.
fine, it's okay. If you don't know, you don't know.
Absolutely.
and you can always work your way out. And if you do feel cornered, you can come out of it.
Yes.
So all that helped you tremendously,
Absolutely.
right? And what about what happened in the conference there? Were you asked anything specific?
My conference, before conference, I stood up for like 5 minutes and then I went inside and normal questions were asked, and then sir asked me to rate all my 3 performances. So I gave 8.5 to my interview. Sir asked why. So I told that so my general knowledge was somewhere I think I could have worked on. Sir said, what was the problem with your general knowledge? I said, sir, by mistake I spoke the capital of UAE wrong. So sir said, ab batao kya search karke aaye ho? So when I said, sir, Abu Dhabi. Sir said, then tell me what happened. What is happening in UAE? So I said, sir, oil crisis and Middle East, something is happening. So I explained on that. So I said, tell me something about sports. I knew that somewhere cricket was going on, but
Yes.
I was not sure. So I didn't took a fraction of second and I said, sir, that I'm not sure about it. So, but I'll surely search after the
Okay.
conference. So I said, thank you, you may leave. So that was just the
So that
conference.
was it, right? So, Shreya, we are so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
And we are very happy that you had a good learning experience
Yes.
here, and that you felt so comfortable in the SSB interview.
Yes.
They had no choice but to pass you. Yes,
Yes.
you gave them no choice,
Absolutely.
right? So God bless you, and I'm sure your medical and all will be sorted out.
Yes, sir.
And convey our special regards to your parents,
Sure.
and keep flying high. And we would love to see you in the next NDA batch there and then.
Yes, sir.
God
Sure.
bless you.
Thank
Have a
you,
great.
sir.
Thank you.
Sir.